captain's run goes without any. Is the team set?
Yeah, as it is always. If we don't have any hiccups today, we'll go as selected.
What if come 11 o'clock tomorrow you come in and know you're locked in third
We'll
spot?
go as selected.
Would you rethink it?
That's what we'll do. Because we're preparing to obviously finish the season well, but then we've also got our eye on being in good shape, and we know we've got to buy the next week, that we get an opportunity to make sure everyone is in as good a shape as they can possibly be in. Because I don't think there's 2 hours difference in football at this stage of the year that can make that big a difference to someone in 2 weeks' time.
Is there any argument to spare Ryan? Is there any argument to spare Ryan?
No, it's quite a simple knock. He's fine. I mean, look, we won't take any chance with someone who doesn't need to be taken a chance with if that was the case. But at this stage, I don't see any player that would relate to.
You named 4 ruckmen all across. You named 4 ruckmen.
Yeah, because it's a Thursday night and we played Sunday, it made it a little bit more challenging because of, and I can be really honest, Hazy's been carrying a shoulder, everyone knows that. Dante's coming back from a quad, so we weren't sure how each of those 2 were going to be, and then we needed to have option C just in case option A and B both didn't come up. But as it turns out, option A and B are both going to play, and also importantly is Scott Lycett's going to play at Elizabeth today too.
What do you need to say from Glass and Kenny? Is it a matter of...
Yeah, it was a great build-up for him to at least get back as quick as he has from his surgery, which is really positive, to give us a chance and an option in week 1 of the finals. That's what we want to see from him, a player who's capable of adding to our side.
Yeah, limited minutes today.
Yeah, beyond managed minutes, because he's got back quite quick, so which is good.
How's Charlie tracking?
Yeah, he'd be this look again. Him and Trent are a bit different. They're still a bit further away, and at the moment we're sitting there hoping that both players at some point will play for us in the next month.
Could you confidently take them into your first final? They work well on the track.
Those 2 players you talk about? Yeah, they've proven to be pretty solid pieces of our team, and you asked the question initially, would we take any risks with any of them tomorrow? Well, there's 2 examples of why we're not going to rush. We're going to give them every chance to be ready for that first final. Now, whether they do or don't get up will still to be seen.
Is it hard not to look past this week? I know obviously there's a big challenge and you want to potentially send TJ off well, but is it hard at this time of year not to start letting yourself think about finals?
I don't think it's hard. I mean, because we respect the competition. I mean, we need to play well. I think what every side wants to do going into a finals preparation is to play well leading into it, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. And we want to make sure we've got our players in the best shape they can be, and we're playing a team who's going to come out with a little bit more youth in it than it has in the last couple of weeks, who will be genuinely excited. So, there's still a fair bit that could be on the table tomorrow by the time we get here. So there's lots to work through. So we're not taking any chances with tomorrow's game.
There's a lot been made this week of TJ potentially his farewell. How important is it to potentially, again, I know it's hard to deal in hypotheticals sometimes, but potentially send him off well?
Let's not forecast his finish date, because that's not known to anyone at this point in time. But the reality is, what we do know is at the end of 2023, Tom will finish. Every opportunity he plays from now through to the end of this season is an opportunity to recognise what he's done to our football club and been for our football club. And whatever those number of games are, I'm really happy that Tom's going to be comfortable with the decision.
Just further to your previous question, how important is momentum going into?
I can give you a really honest answer. The honest answer is whatever happens tomorrow won't affect how we'll feel at the start of the finals. It won't, because we're just going to get there, and the excitement builds once you get there. But yes, ideally, you'd go in winning, and that's what we're going to set out to try and do tomorrow. We want to be going into this final series in good shape, and if that means we've won our last 3 games in a row, that would be a good spot for us to go.
How much did you gain last week by dealing with a team that forced you to find something different in that game with Fremantle? How good is that?
Yeah, I think Freo are really quite a solid side still. I think they've, to go over there and win is a pretty good performance, I think, at any stage. And I know they haven't had as great a year as they would have liked at the start, but their last little bit has been, quite strong, particularly at home. So it's a good challenge for us. And we didn't get to play absolutely the football we would love to play all the time, but we got to ground it out and fight it out a bit harder than we typically would like. But it's good. It's good preparation.
So what does that do for your confidence? So what does that do for your confidence?
Not much.
September. The script doesn't go.
I know all those questions relating to what happens in a couple of weeks' time. I get that, because we're at that point of the season. But all those things don't actually mean that much. internally. We just go into focus mode, and that is to do what we need to do to prepare for who we've got to play. And tomorrow we've got to play Richmond. So what we've spent our time on this week is making sure we're ready to play Richmond with our best.
Just a word on Willie Riola's form. Just a word on Willie Riola's form.
Yeah, well, he's been able to play like we expected he'd be able to play for us. He had a number of interruptions through that mid tier, and what he's done is got some consistency about playing, and he's certainly come out in his performance, and he's a really valuable player for us. And you know, one that we sit back now at round 24 and go, gee, we're glad we got him. So hopefully he has a big, strong finish to the year.
Just use small forwards in general. Fantasia. Just use small forwards in general.
Yeah, they're all Frank's emergency. He's played really well. He can't be doing too much more. But at the moment, the people who are keeping him out of Powell Pepper are the Jed McIntyre, and you know, we talked about Willie playing their roles as well. So you know, Frank's played really well. He's in good space. Orazio played really well last week. I'd love to see him do it again this week, because I think he's a bit of a wild card if we can get him right.
What was the thought on Dylan Williams as a sub?
Again, we're making sure that we get the right minutes into the right people as much as we possibly can. Travis needed to play, particularly, which was really important to us, and to make that happen, Dylan was the player that we felt as if he's had a really strong, his first year of AFL football, he's had a really strong, bar one game, a really strong season, and you know, he'll be okay. He won't lose too much by if it's a half a game that he doesn't play.
Bit of talk about score review this week. How do you feel about it? You're comfortable with it?
Yeah, well, I think any time we look to try and strengthen it, it can't be bad, but to make it foolproof, I don't think that, you know, certainly won't create that, and I think that's what everyone's talked around this week. Error happens, human error happens. I mean, it's part of it. It doesn't feel great when it happens to you. We've all had it happen at some stage, I'm sure.
Are you comfortable going into finals?
Yeah, I am. No, I'm really comfortable with the AFL.
They've taken enough steps to.
Of course, I'd like no mistakes to happen, like everyone in the competition, but I just don't think that's. I don't know whether that's possible to get to that point right now. We've had a season where, if we reflect over the whole season, there's probably been a number of mistakes, human error mistakes that have happened. We'd all like not to happen, but they just happen.
A lot of suggestions across the competition as to what they would like to see happen long term. What's the club's
Oh no,
ideas?
we again, what we should do is leave that in the hands of the AFL and ask them to come up with a solution that is close to 100% accurate as you can get, and that's what we're all striving for. We don't want any game decided by things outside, you know, the contest where it's been a 50-50 game, and you just don't want those things to happen, but they happen. I mean, there was the week earlier there was another game that happened similar, so it just happens. When you're not directly involved, I get it. I can be a bit easier to say it just happens, but the reality is it's part of the game. It's what we have to deal with.
Have you spoken to Matthew Nix at all this week?
No, Nixie's focusing on his stuff, and I'm focusing on my stuff, which is important.
Charlie Dixon told us yesterday that the announcement on his contract
That's good.
around the corner. I don't think there's ever been any doubt from your perspective that you want him around, but given all his injury issues this year.
Yeah, look at Charlie's stuff again. He'll take care of itself at the right time, and if it's about injury, it's probably not going to have a big effect because he's always been injured over his journey. He doesn't get through too many seasons where he's not at least been injured once or twice.